Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back into the video today, and today the Golden State Warriors beat the Houston Rockets 93 to 104, 104 to 93, and take a 2-1 lead. The funny thing that I thought of right before I started recording, that I don't think I thought about as the game ended, but if you look at it, this series so far has played out exactly how the Western Conference Finals played out through 3 games. Rockets in Western. I don't know if this is how it'll go down to finish this series. I'm not feeling great. But Rockets lost game one. And it wasn't a. They didn't get killed, but they didn't. They weren't close. The Rockets in game two of the Western Conference Finals killed the Warriors. And that's what they did in game two of this series. And then in game three, I remember the Warriors blew out the Rockets. That's not what really happened here tonight. And then I remember game four was a game that the Rockets should have lost, but then they had an unbelievable fourth quarter comeback and were able to win the game. And then game five, I don't want to talk much about because that's the game CP3 got injured. So far this series has played out how, the Western Conference Finals did for the Rockets in the 2017-18 season. But the question is, can the Rockets, like they did in the 17-18 season, win Game 4 in San Francisco, which was, when the Rockets won in 17-18, that was in Oakland. But, yeah, we'll see if that's something they can do. I don't know, to be honest. I'm frustrated with this loss. I really am. Steph was unbelievable, 36 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds. I gotta say, I'm really frustrated with how they dealt with him defensively tonight. Look, I think the double teams, being up his his rear end, most of the night, most of the first half, that worked early on. It really did. They got to Steph early on. They really did. He was missing shots. He was having trouble finding shots, and the Rockets were brilliant defensively against Steph Curry early on in this game. But that started to change. The Steph started getting around those, and it felt like every time this is the way I felt. It felt like every time the Rockets double teamed Steph in the second half, he found an open man, and that open man knocked down the shot. Whether it was Buddy Hield, whether it was Gary Payton, it felt like every time you doubled Stephen Curry, he punished you. So I didn't know what was the point of continuing to double Stephen Curry. It seemed like he was going to punish you regardless. Whether it's a one-on-one or it's a double team, it's going to be a problem. And you look at what happened in the game at the last week of the season where the Rockets dominated Steph by double teaming him. And they did a good job of doing that in the last game, in game two. That works. But when Steph he was in the type of zone where he's finding an open man on every time you double team him, and not only that, but every time he gets to that open man, whether it was Gary Payton or it was Buddy Hield, they were both spectacular at the bench tonight. Payton had 16, Buddy had 17. They combined them for 33. Those were most of the assists that Steph would have. Those were the two players that Steph would mostly find when it was a double team. That's when you got to stop. That's when you got to abandon the double team when Gary Payton and Buddy Hield are making shots like they did tonight. Moses Moody had a shot that he made off a Steph double team in the corner. It's just late in the game. You should not be double teaming Stephen Curry like that if he is punishing. He had 9 assists tonight. So, I guarantee you a good part of those assists, a majority of those assists are off of plays where Stephen Curry is getting double teamed. And so he punished you regardless, whether you double teamed him or you put one on him. And he shot 12 for 23 from the floor. He shot 5 for 13 from 3. He shot 7 for 8 at the free throw line. So he just killed him tonight. And that sucks. Draymond Green, I'm not surprised he came out there tonight and just killed the Rockets defensively. I agreed with the Defensive Player of the Year. The Defensive Player of the Year nomination of Evan Mobley. He 100% deserved that award. 100%. And if that if anyone thinks Draymond Green deserved that over Evan Mobley, Evan Mobley killed it defensively this season. He was on one of the best teams in the league as well. It only made sense for Evan Mobley to win that award. Plus, that might be the only award Cleveland gets this year. Cleveland deserves to get an award. I don't know if Kenny Atkinson will win the Coach of the Year award. But the one thing I was really excited when Evan Mobley won that award because I love Evan Mobley. I dislike Draymond, but the one thing I didn't think of when I got excited about that was the fact that motivates Draymond to go out there tonight and play great defense. I think for the first time I've seen in a game, Draymond Green was in Alperen Şengün's head. It seems like in other games, and maybe like the last two games, game 1, game 2, when the Rockets faced, the Warriors in the game where they beat them in San Francisco before the regular season ended, Draymond Green would try to get out in LP's head, and it does not work. But tonight, it seemed like that worked for Draymond. He had 3 blocks, 2 steals. One of those blocks, or maybe 2 of those blocks, were off of Alperen Şengün. Alperen Şengün struggled really bad in this game, 7 for 18 from the floor. 1 for 6 at the free throw line, 15 points, 11 rebounds. He did have a double-double, did have 4 assists, but shooting-wise, this was a terrible game for Alperen Şengün tonight. And look, I think we can look at the free throw struggles of this Rockets team tonight. We can talk about it being a problem, but the one thing I will say, if we're going to talk about bad free throw shooting, let's mention that, yes, did the Rockets miss 10 free throws tonight? Yes. Is that a problem? Yes. But we're 7 of those 10 free throw misses, Alperen Şengün and Steven Adams, the 2 worst free throw shooters on the team. Yes. So that's another. It's not like good free throw shooters were missing free throws. Fred went to the line 4 times tonight, made all 4. Dylan went to the free throw line tonight, made both of his free throw shots. I think you can look at it. Jabari Smith Jr. and Tari Eason, them going to the free throw line and them splitting in their 2 free throw attempts. That hurts you, right? But you can go to, or Amen Thompson going 1 for 2. But, but Şengün should have made more than 1 free throw tonight. That is I was actually really impressed with Steven. I don't think you can complain about Steven Adams missing 2 free throws when he shot 4 for 6. They were fouling him like they did. Steven Adams is a guy that going in, in the regular season had 46% from the free throw line. So for a 46% free throw shooter, shooting 4 for 6 on the road in a playoff game, very impressive. Steven Adams 4 for 6 free throw shooting. But Alperen Şengün, I think, is the only disappointing thing when it comes to the free throw shooting of the Houston Rockets tonight. And are we expecting Alperen Şengün to make all of his free throws? No, you're not. I think the best case scenario would have been Alperen going 3 for 6 or 4 for 6 like Steven did. And if he goes 4 for 6 at the line, that's 3 extra points, and the Rockets lose this game by 8 points. That really doesn't do much for you. Yes, 17 for 24 still would have been bad, but it wouldn't do much for this Rockets team, is what I'm saying. Obviously, if they would have made all 24 free throws tonight, which would have been really hard, the Rockets still would have lost this game by 1 point. But the thing I'll say is that you're not going to make all 24 free throws when half of your free throw attempts are Alperen Şengün and Steven Adams. So, but Alperen Şengün was bad in this game. That's the starter. Amen Thompson was terrible in this game. Amen Thompson hasn't really been well this entire series when it comes to his shot. 5 for 16, 11 points, 7 rebounds, 4 assists. Dylan Brooks, I thought, was great in this game tonight. He was a big factor for the Rockets in this game tonight. What was the problem? He got in foul trouble. He fouled out with 3.5 minutes left in the game. 13 points, 4 for 8 from the floor, 3 for 4 from 3, 6 rebounds. It was great defensively. The problem was the fouls. 28 minutes for Dylan Brooks because of the foul trouble. Jalen Green was terrible in this game. 9 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. Him and LP and men were terrible. Jalen, I expected it, to be honest. I thought Amen Thompson would finally have his breakout game in these playoffs. I thought Şengün would play better than he did tonight. Jalen, I honestly expected it because of the game we saw last and the struggles we've seen from him in his career against the Golden State Warriors. You knew Steve Kerr was going to make defensive adjustments, and that would that would get to Jalen Green. He shot 4 for 11, shot 1 for 5 from 3. I'd hope next game he can play better, but I thought after the 38-point performance and the way he's had struggles in his entire career against Steve Kerr and the Golden State Warriors and what they've done against him, it didn't seem like this would be Jalen's night. If the Rockets got to win, it would be because of Alperen Sengun, Dylan Brooks, Amen Thompson, maybe Fred VanVleet, not Jalen Green. And it seems like maybe the Rockets, what they need is Jalen Green to do what he did again. You need that for Jalen Green in order to win. And you just hope that he can give you that in Game 4. I really do. But Fred, 17 points. I think the bad thing is the way Fred got cold. I mean, Fred was red hot to start this game. Made his first 2 threes, made his first 3 field goals. Got fouled on a and got an and one. Was 3 for 3 to start the game. Then Fred shoots 2 for 11 to finish the game. That's not what you want from Freddie. One of his threes didn't. Like I said, 2 for 11 to finish the game after his first 3 makes. One of those 2 of 11. One of those 2 makes out of 11 shots didn't come until late in the fourth quarter. He had a 3 to make it 91 and 97. So, you love the start that VanVleet got off to this game. It looked like with the way Fred played early on in this game, the Rockets would get the win because of him. But he just continued later on to just go back to his old self. That sucks. 17 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists for Fred. So I pretty much gone all over the stats. Jabari Smith Jr., I thought he's a guy that needed more minutes in this game tonight. I don't know why you didn't give him more minutes. 12.5 rebounds, 4 for 8, 3 for 5 from 3. He needs more minutes. I love Jalen. I love Amen Thompson. But I don't know why Amen Thompson is getting 37 minutes, Jalen Green's getting 39 minutes, and Jabari's only getting 26 minutes with the way he played tonight. 8 points for Tari Eason in 3 for 9 shooting, 1 for 5 from 3, 6 rebounds. 8 points for Steven Adams, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, and 18 minutes, his best game since Game 1. And so just tough loss for this Rockets team tonight. Here's what I would hope for. If you're a Rockets fan, you would hope for the Astros to win on Monday. That's what I'm going to say. And we're wondering why would we hope for the Astros to win Monday? Because the Astros, when they lose, this is the thing that both teams have done this throughout. The Rockets and Astros, 2 Houston teams have done this throughout this as this series has gone on. The Rockets lost Game 1 of this series. The Astros lost again against the Padres on that same night. The Rockets won Game 2 of the series in their last game before this, and the Astros won against the Blue Jays. And then tonight, the Rockets lost, of course, to the Warriors 104-93, and the Astros lost 2-0. So it seems like when the Astros win, the Rockets win with them. When the Astros lose, the Rockets also do that with them. So let me know your thoughts on the Rockets losing 104-93, and it seems like when one Houston team wins, the other, and when one Houston team loses, the other does as well. So, you just know if one Houston team wins, that might be good for the other, and if one loses, it's not very good for the other. Let me know your thoughts on the Astros. Sorry, I was talking about the Astros. I started thinking about the Astros. Let me know your thoughts on the Rockets' 104-93 loss in the comment section, and peace out. Go Rockets.